Apparently, men believing in discrimination is insane. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, because we're going to have a look at an interesting article from news.com.au. Survey reveals insane thing half of Aussie men believe. Now, honestly, I think Sarah is completely off the plot here. I'm surprised it's only 50% of men. New research in Australian workplaces has revealed some interesting insight into the beliefs of more than 50% of men. Let's see what this. New research has found that 50% of Australian men feel that reverse discrimination. No, I'd see it. This is bullshit. You don't call it reverse discrimination. Okay, Sarah, we'll fix this for you. I'll mansplain it to you. There we go. Okay, that discrimination is occurring in the workplace, with women being boosted up the career ladder simply because of their gender. Now, let's have a look. Just an old article here that was published 4 years ago that I've discussed on this channel before. We'll have a look at this and see if it's relevant. A DPM and C study finds public servants more likely to hire women. Years of public service gender diversity efforts may have succeeded in making bureaucrats more likely to hire women than men, a new study by the Prime Minister's Nudge Unit suggests. The behavioural economics team have warned that the blind recruitment techniques currently in vogue across the public service may be doing more harm than good to the job prospects of senior women, okay? Blind recruitment. Now, blind recruitment is a good thing because it removes all of these, gender, race, all of these things that you shouldn't be subconsciously influence your decision in employing someone. You shouldn't give a crap about someone's gender or someone's race, or if they can do the job, if they're qualified and have the experience, shouldn't you? I mean, that's what I always thought we were taught. But oh, no. But don't worry, this is 4 years old, so no wonder some people haven't read this article. Blind recruitment aims to eliminate unconscious bias in the hiring process by removing names and other identifying data from applications. So a decision maker does not know if the application is male or female, and cannot even guess at their ethnic background. The technique is being used or trialed across the public service and in commercial organizations eager to boost the number of women at the top, and was credited in 2016 with doubling the proportion of female bosses at the ABS. Sure it was. But the result from the new study could turn the present thinking on gender employment diversity on its head. In its study published today, the Nudge Unit from Malcolm Turnbull's shows how old this is. Department of the Prime Minister and Cabinet used 2,100 public servants from 14 departments to assess applications for a hypothetical senior role in their organisation. The bureaucrats were randomly assigned traditional or blind applications. The researchers found the public servants engaged in positive, not negative discrimination towards females and minority candidates. Participants were 2.9% more likely to shortlist female candidates and 3.2% less likely to shortlist male applicants when they were identifiable compared to when they were de-identified. Okay? Discrimination. Minority males were 5.8% more likely to be shortlisted, and minority females were 8.6% more likely to be shortlisted when identifiable compared to when the applications were de-identified. There you go. So they're favouring minorities consciously. They're favouring women. There you go. This is 4 years old. This has been published. The positive discrimination is just discrimination. Okay, it's all the same. If you think discriminating is positive, good on you. Was strongest for Indigenous female candidates, who were 22.2% more likely to be shortlisted when identifiable compared to when applications were de-identified. The Nudge Unit suggests the results could be important. This is critically useful knowledge, wrote study leader Michael Hiscox. Introducing de-identification of applications in such a context may have the unintended consequence of decreasing the number of female and minority candidates shortlisted for senior APS positions, setting back efforts to promote more diversity at the senior management level in the public service. Now, here's the thing. If you're removing the de-identifying, or if you're de-identifying these resumes, what do you think they're basing their decisions on to who to employ? I wonder. Or everything else that's left over. Skills, experience, education, stuff that matters. Anyway, so, yes, there is discrimination, Sarah. That report has proven it. That's 4 years old. Okay? Anyway, let's have a look. The survey of 1,000... Oh, and anecdotally, I've seen it as well in, a lot of the engineers I work with. Engineering is a very male-focused sector because, it lends more towards male interests. Here's a shocking truth bomb for people. Men and women are different. We have different interests. It doesn't mean we can't do anything that we want to choose, but generally people will gravitate to things that interest them. And if there's a biological difference between the sexes, that may manifest in career choices. We've got this thing. We still have some freedom in this country to choose your career. The survey of 1,000 workers conducted by the Dream Collective, a global diversity, equity, and inclusion consultancy, found that men are fatigued when it comes to discussing gender equality, but still hold a host of problematic opinions about the issue. Problematic opinions. Yeah, we are fatigued. No one gives a crap. I mean, look at White Ribbon, what a con that entire organization was. Just virtue signaling, and half the people in the organization were perpetrators. For example, if women fall behind, men aren't to blame, but it could be due to the drive or motivation of women. That's not problematic. We've seen that in our own business. Rachel has seen that. We hired two people, 2 days apart, a young lady and a young bloke. Same skill level, same degree, both studying and working full time. Who do you think would work extra hours when we needed it, would ask for more responsibility and would step up? Every single time, it was the young bloke. Rachel had to pull the girl aside and talk to her and say, you're going to fall behind in your career because you're not taking on any responsibility. She didn't care. Didn't care. I would argue it's actually an evolutionary trait. In order to attract a mate, men need to be useful. Okay? That's reality. We're hard-coded to that. I don't think you can diversity educate that away. 50% of respondents also said they felt women were already treated equally in the workplace. Aren't they? It's a finding that doesn't ring true for Samantha Stone, a senior IT executive for a government department. Okay, now look at what we just read about government departments. So she's a senior IT executive. We need to know what her age is. Here's the thing, because it's different for millennials to previous generations. I see all these boomers that I was working in the architectural profession, all these old women who are, bitching and moaning about discrimination. And I go to Rachel and she goes, it doesn't exist. Ms. Stone recently attended an IT conference with a $10 million budget to spend, but says she was completely ignored by the males there. She said she is frustrated to see little improvement in the past 30 years since she's been in the male-dominated sector. Well, it's your own stupid fault then. If you got $10 million to spend and you were ignored by a bunch of idiots there, who cares? What's that got to do with work? It's a conference, okay? It's a junket. I've experienced boys' clubs, and they don't even realize it, she told news.com.au. The worst thing is men are going around saying that a woman gets a job because she is a woman. See, this is the problem. This is what this type of crap leads to here, all this positive discrimination. This is what, the make-believe wage gap that they call it, which is actually an earnings gap. It leads to this women who actually work hard to achieve positions being always questioned, or did they earn that? Or were they just a box filler or tick box filler? Rachel was sitting on the National committee for the Institute of Architects reviewing the body of knowledge of our profession. And then they brought in female quotas on all panels and committees. And you know why they brought it in? Because the only people submitting responses to their stupid surveys were all the academics who had interest in that. All the rest of normal people, we were working and ignored all their crap. This is how the minority, the loud idiots, influence. Because the rest of us don't participate. I admit I ignored their stupid surveys. I had shit to do. I was running projects. So did Rachel. But then again, she was annoyed because then she felt people just see me as a tick box. Young woman working on a committee where she really worked hard to get on there. Part of the reason why we left. So, if I ever heard someone saying that, it makes me furious. Well, you've got you don't have much experience then. Honestly, she's probably worked in public service her whole life. Have you? I wonder if Samantha's worked out in other industries. And how can you not see it? I've not got to where I am because I'm a woman. I've got to where I am despite being a woman. So I think they use that as a convenient excuse. No. The research has proven it. Haven't you? She probably doesn't have as much experience. Well, that would explain it, wouldn't it? I mean, government employees, people working in the public service just their whole life, they've got a very isolated view of the world. They don't have as much experience. You see someone who comes out of public service and works in a private industry job, often they're shocked just how hard you have to work. It does alarm me to hear people justifying not getting selected to interview for a job because they say they want a woman, and that's not true. I think that's white males looking for an excuse. What if you're told that? What if you've spoken to other owners of businesses and you know they make decisions based on that? What if you've spoken to directors of other businesses? Directors, not government employees, private sector, and this is probably in the boys' club having smokes going, yeah, they want to get more women in there because it looks good in the engineering firm, but there's so few of them, they tend to jump ship often and make more money. And good on the girls for doing it. I mean, bloody oath, you do it. You make the coin while you can, okay? But this is, okay, here we go. This is the problem. This is the problem here. She's old. She's in her 50s, okay? So she's from a previous generation. This boomer thinking that'd be X-Gen thinking, doesn't apply to millennials and younger because we don't give a crap about this stuff. So she said her experience at the conference wasn't just specific to her either. Another senior female also couldn't capture vendors' attention until she walked around with a male colleague. I mean, come on. She was asking about products, and the vendor was directing the responses to the male, she explained. He turned around. Well, okay. Here's the thing. You're talking about an IT conference. Do you have the skill set? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to make a very generalized and inappropriate comment here, but how many people in the IT are not the best salespeople? He turned around and said, don't tell me she's the one with the money, and it's interesting the men didn't notice it until they experienced it. Ms. Stone said she felt like a frog in boiling water as it took her years to recognize she was being ignored at technical expos due to her gender before a hallelujah moment just 4 years ago. She suggests that people in the IT industry needed training about unconscious bias. Oh, boy. Well, I mean, this I see. How can you get to a senior level in IT and be offended by this shit? How can you get to a senior level in any organization? It's because it's government. Guaranteed it's because it's government. There's no way. I mean, some of the women I've seen in architecture that have climbed their way up in the private sector, they're hard as bloody nails. I won't give a shit about this. You go up to them and say, I want to know this. I got the money. Pull your head in. I mean, come on. The ones I see bitching and moaning like this are usually they're troublemakers. Even more worrying for Miss Stone was she went to judge projects at a university event and the young male students directed all his responses to her male colleague. He said, I couldn't believe that he didn't look at you, didn't answer your questions, and was directing them to me. It was quite astonishing to recognize it. She said, well, maybe the guy is nervous. Maybe he has no social skills. Maybe, IT stereotype, he's scared of girls. Or maybe she had resting bitch face and was scaring the crap out of him. Just maybe. Now, this is coming from someone who studied architecture. Now, what happens in architecture, you put your projects up on the wall, you have to get up and you have to defend it. And then there'll be a panel of guests that will tear it to pieces. And you'll often have people in tears because their project that they've worked on for so long is utter rubbish and it gets destroyed. You'll often have other people who are really happy. I mean, the idea is to give people constructive criticism so they can improve the work that they've done. She added gender equality in the workplace is crawling, and she doesn't want to wait another 30 years to see an equal footing. You'll be dead by then. In 30 years, you're 50. You'll be retired. You'll be gone. Your way of thinking. Here's the problem. I'm worried this older generation is going to cause more damage than good. It'll sort itself out. It already is. New data revealed that it will take 26 years to... this is wrong. The gender pay gap. It is a gender earnings gap. Okay? Here's the difference. You know, Rachel and I, we both started in our careers. At one point, I was earning more than her. She was earning more than me. You know? And then you get married, you start a family, you work together as a team. The earnings gap now we're earning exactly the same. It doesn't matter. So, anyway, it showed men earn... this is bullshit. We need to get rid of this organization. This is such a waste of government money. Okay, they're talking about the gender pay gap. The video I'll refer you to all is the gender tax gap. Okay, we'll look at that one, guys. Disturbingly, the gap has risen by 0.8% in the last 6 months, meaning August 31st marks 61 extra days. Oh, okay, whatever, Sarah. Let's keep going. Also, here we go. Was largely driven by a higher growth in men's full-time wages. Yeah, okay. Sarah Liu, founder and managing director of the Dream Collective, said gender fatigue and claims of discrimination, it's discrimination. We've seen it. It exists. Doesn't necessarily equate to progress stalling. When you're so used to your privilege. When you're so used to your privilege, equality may feel like discrimination. When you're so used to your privilege. Being a white male is a privilege. No one gives a shit about you. No one gives a utter crap about you. To climb up anywhere, you got to kiss so much ass. You got to work your ass off. Unless you're a super chad, you've got to work your ass off to get a partner, to keep a partner, to attract a partner. Come on. Anyway, yep. Feel like discrimination because you're driving in the fast lane. Any adjustment feels like a loss. The key is to encourage honest conversation and sentiment around this topic so men don't feel they're ill-informed, uninformed, or sexist if they ask certain questions, she said. Well, no, I'm probably more informed than you. I've seen this public service research. You obviously haven't, if you don't realize it's reality. Okay, and here's the thing. I mean, her business is based on believing this crap, and she's making money and coin off it. I mean, good on her, but this stuff is a cancer. To reject and refuse isn't the answer here. If men are feeling that discrimination, again, Sarah, learn to write properly, is at play, and that men and women are already treated equally, that doesn't mean we mock and excuse. We need to engage and bring them in. She added, men will make the biggest difference in gender equality. We need the voices of men to move the dial, and we build a more equitable and inclusive society everyone benefits. Yeah, I mean, this is all bullshit, though. Honestly. When you reach a point where you want to decide to have kids, what's more important? Being someone's wage slave or having a family? Seriously. That's the choice a lot of women have to make. You don't want to sacrifice and give up on potentially having a family, which can be the best thing in your life, to be someone's wage slave. No one's going to give a shit when you're dying. Okay? No one's going to care that you fought for equality to make that spreadsheet for your boss. Who cares? You got to think about your legacy. And when you're together as a couple and building a family, All this bullshit goes out the window. You're working together as a team. If someone can earn more than the other, you send them out there. You do what you have to do. It doesn't care. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned, guys. Maybe I'm really a boomer in a millennial's body. While the report found that 12% of Australian men would volunteer to lead the charge to champion gender equality and were eating a lot of soy, and diversity, equality, and inclusion 57% reported that the time required for training and discussion deterred them. Training and discussion deterred them. Transport, accommodation, food, and information media telecommunication workers are highly likely to help champion gender equality. While public administration, safety, and retail trade industries were less enthusiastic, the survey found. Yeah, how many of them are women? The research also revealed that while awareness and willingness to engage in gender equality initiatives is high, it is not driven by personal convictions. It found 61% of men said while they make great efforts to meet targets for women's career advancement, this is driven primarily by obligation as opposed to strong personal conviction. Yeah, it's a social obligation. This is all fake bullshit. No man really believes this crap. Seriously. As you can imagine, women feel especially fatigued by this conversation. There's going to be a lot of talk on it, and it's only, yeah, whatever. Okay. I mean, let's have a talk about this. I mean, I feel like I'm going back over all topics. The gender pay gap doesn't exist. It's a gender earnings gap. Okay? Men work harder, they work more hours. Look at the ABS stats. We've seen here, 4 years ago, evidence of actual discrimination against men. It exists, okay? People who haven't worked in the public sector have seen it. It's real because that businesses want to win brownie points for marketing, PR, and bullshit. This is a legacy of all the generations that probably did grow up and work in more discriminatory times. It doesn't exist anymore. Bloody hell, guys. Anyway, yeah. Check out this video about the tax payment gap. That's an older one. All of these are older topics. I haven't covered this in years. I thought this wage gap and gender rubbish was all over and done with, but no, it keeps coming back. I guess people need to milk it to make money. I mean, what do you think, guys? Have you noticed this? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.